Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. A former WWE champion recently opened up about his backstage dynamics with Triple H back in the day. The star was released from his contract with the Stanford-based company in 2009. Ken Anderson, Mr. Kennedy, signed with the global juggernaut in 2005. Touted as a future world champion, he could not live up to the expectations as his WWE career was marred with injuries, backstage heat, a suspension due to a violation of the promotion's wellness policy, and several other issues which ultimately led to his release within 5 years of his signing. On the most recent edition of his Mic Check podcast, Ken Anderson was asked if he got along with Triple H backstage. The former WWE United States champion came up with an honest response, stating that he felt the game did not like him. However, the veteran added that his own approach could have been a potential reason behind it. Anderson further noted that he has since had several interactions with Hunter, and he felt they were both different people back in the day. TED Sports, the first ever TED event dedicated exclusively to the intersection of sport, innovation, and transformative ideas, is slated to take place in Indianapolis in September. Earlier today, it was announced that WWE's Chief Content Officer Triple H will be one of the speakers at the historic 3-day event. The 14-time world champion will pull back the curtain on the workings of the Stanford-based promotion. It will be interesting to hear Triple H talk about professional wrestling at the inaugural TED Sports event. Ankit Verma is a WWE news writer with over 4 years of experience in the writing field. He graduated with a master's degree in physical sciences, but his love and passion for writing and pro wrestling led him to create content about it. He writes his articles putting himself in the reader's shoes, making sure it's as simply written, informative, and straight to the point as possible while being devoid of opinion. Ankit strives to present accurate information by ensuring the source is credible and cross-checking all facts and figures. Ankit would have liked to have managed Kane during the Attitude Era, helping to take the big red monster to greater heights than his brother/rival, The Undertaker. His favorite pro wrestler of all time is AJ Styles. When Ankit is not writing for Sportskeeda, he enjoys spending his time studying astronomy and playing cricket. In the dimly lit corridors of WWE's backstage world, perception can be as dangerous as a steel chair to the spine. Whispers become gospel, glances turn into grudges, and careers can pivot on nothing more than a handshake, or the absence of one. For one former WWE star, that reality came crashing down every time he crossed paths with Paul Triple H Levesque. "I felt like he didn't like me," the wrestler recently admitted in a podcast interview that sent the wrestling world buzzing. "I don't know if it was something I did, something I didn't do, but you can feel it, you know? That tension, that chill." He never said anything, but the silence said everything. It's a sentence that speaks volumes in the world of professional wrestling, where silence can be more damning than a promo gone wrong. Triple H, often seen as the gatekeeper of WWE's Golden Throne, is both revered and feared. As a performer, he was known as the Game, the cerebral assassin, who could bury you in the ring or on the mic. As an executive, he became the architect behind the black and gold era of NXT, nurturing indie talent with a sharp eye for potential and a no-nonsense approach to business. This particular wrestler, who we'll call X for now, wasn't just any journeyman. He had buzz. He had indie cred. He had fans chanting his name before his music hit. When he arrived in WWE, expectations followed like shadows under bright lights. But instead of a rocket push or golden handshake, he found himself stalled, stuck in creative limbo, and wondering what went wrong. "I remember one meeting," X recalled. "I pitched this character, this whole angle that tied into what I'd done on the indies. I poured everything into it." Tripp sat there, nodded, but I could tell. There was no spark in his eyes. No follow-up. Just, "Thanks, we'll talk." We never talked. Wrestling fans often romanticize NXT's indie revolution under Triple H names like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, and Johnny Gargano thrived under his reign. But what about the ones who didn't? Not every story fits the mold, and not every mold can be broken without resistance. You have to understand something. A former WWE producer told us under anonymity. Triple H is loyal. To a fault, sometimes. If you're not his guy, if he didn't personally vouch for you or bring you in, you start one step behind. Doesn't mean he buries you, but it does mean you've got to fight a little harder to earn his respect. For X, it wasn't just a professional hurdle, it became a psychological one. There's nothing worse than feeling invisible, X said. You're at the biggest wrestling company in the world, you're getting paid, you're on the road, but you're not seen. And when you walk past the guy running things and he barely acknowledges you, you start questioning everything. Your work, your worth, your future. AAA, for all his power and influence, is notorious for keeping his cards close to his chest. Rarely does he publicly address backstage drama, unless it serves the larger narrative of WWE's evolution. Still, those who've worked closely with him offer a more nuanced view. Look, H is intense, said one former NXT talent. He expects professionalism. He expects you to carry yourself like a star, even before you are one. And if you don't, he doesn't have time for that. But it's not hate, it's just his standard. In X's case, it may have been a combination of factors: creative disagreements, mismatched visions, backstage politics, and yes, maybe even a personality clash. But was there actual heat? Or just a misread silence? He never buried me, to be fair, X admitted later in the interview. He didn't sabotage anything. He just didn't help. And in this business, if you don't have someone pulling for you, especially someone in his position, it's like wrestling with one arm tied behind your back. Interestingly, the story doesn't end in bitterness. After leaving WWE, X went on to thrive on the indie circuit and overseas promotions, building a loyal fanbase and reclaiming his narrative. And time, as it often does, softened old wounds. I don't hate the guy, X concluded. If anything, I respect what he's done. But yeah, back then, I felt like he didn't like me. And maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't have to. But it left a mark. Whether Triple H ever saw this star as a missed opportunity or just another name on a crowded roster remains unknown. But what's clear is the impact that perception had on one man's confidence, career, and story. In wrestling, heat can make or break you. But not all heat is loud and visible. Sometimes it's the quiet kind that lingers. Unspoken tension, unreturned texts, unread pitches. Sometimes it's just standing in guerrilla, hearing the pop for someone else, and realizing the boss never looked your way. For X, that feeling, he didn't like me, was more than a hunch. It was a shadow that followed him through hallways, flights, and hotel rooms. A doubt that lingered longer than any loss in the ring. But maybe, just maybe, that chip on his shoulder became the fuel he needed. Because now, he's headlining elsewhere. He's beloved. And most importantly, he's free. And somewhere, maybe even Triple H is watching. Silently, respectfully.